Welcome everybody to your week 2 CCC recap. My name is Martin and I'll be commentating over this recap today. Getting things kicked off is going to be a Group B matchup between the University of Alabama and Florida State. Todd Goodwin getting things started for us. He normally averages around 13.5, but this time he's going to get a 12.11. A pretty good solve for him and for this set. Now, Roman had been handling things quite well for Alabama, as you can see, 2-0, but in this final solve, Todd is going to make things a little bit trickier. Roman struggling on that PLL, and he's going to get an 11.37. Next up, we have Sam for Alabama. Again, as you can see, Alabama handling Florida State quite well here, 2-0 again in the second set. But Sam going to have some struggles here later in the solve, trouble recognizing that PLL is just a rather move-heavy solve with a 10.41. So this is going to leave the door wide open for Owen, who averages around 11.9. Still going to need to lock in here to clinch a solve. And as you can see, quite a good solve for him, but some lockups in F2L going into OL. Not too bad. The hesitations in PLL, and he's going to get a 10.7. So just barely Sam will eke him out for the final solve in set number 2, and take that set for Alabama. So Alabama doing quite well here in this matchup against Florida State. Now, next up, we have the first solve of set number 3 for Tommy Cherry. He averages about 7.7. Going up against him is going to be Ishmael for Alabama, around an 8.21. So going to be an uphill battle for Ishmael. Now, Tommy Cherry starting things off with an 8.3. So right around Ishmael's average. This is going to be Ishmael's chance to make a statement and get a good solve here. But a little bit slow to get things started. And he's not going to be able to come down with the dub on that solve with an 8.87, so just barely losing out to Tommy Cherry there. Now here in solve number 3, as you can see, Tommy Cherry doing pretty well against Ishmael. He's up 2-0. Tommy Cherry is going to get a 7.74, and that's going to be enough to do it for Florida State. They're going to get some points up on the board. Now in set number 4, Alabama up by 1 set, 2-1. Roman going to get things kicked off here with an 11.34, just a little bit of a slower solve, but this is going to be a little bit in Todd's range, something that he can respond to. So Todd is really going to need to capitalize on this to come back from getting swept in set number 1. And he has a pretty good solve, and he's going to do it. He's going to get a 10.62 and just beat out Roman by a little under a second. Now going into Todd's second solve, you can see he's locking in here. He's really finding that groove. And again, he's going to get a PLL skip, which is going to be fantastic for him, but he's going to +2 that. So a fantastic solve for Todd, a 9.44, but it's going to be an 11.44. So Roman definitely has a chance here to take a solve for Alabama in set number 4. But going into OLL, he gets a bad OLL case and some hesitations on PLL, a long PLL case, and a 13.2. So even with the +2, Todd is going to take a second solve. So now Roman down 2-0 going into solve number 3 for him. And he's going to finish off with about a 10.64. So a decent solve. Now Todd is really going to have to lock in here. As we can see, Roman is able to come back from a 2-0 deficit, tie things up 2-2. Going into the final solve of the set. Roman is going to hesitate on PLL, get some lockups, and it's going to be an alright solve of about 11.94. Not an immediate win for Roman, but going to be something that Todd will have to lock in to respond to. And we see some huge pauses here for Todd in early stages of F2L. Really going to cost him a lot of time, and going into OLL, just not able to find the groove on that solve. It's going to be a 14.16, and so Roman is going to be able to take that solve take that set from a 2-0 deficit. You can see very happy here. That's going to give Alabama the 3 sets they need to guarantee that they're going to win some points on this matchup here. Here in the final solve of set number 5, as you can see, Sam handling Florida State quite well here, and he's going to take that set for Alabama, giving him the win. Now, on to set number 6. Ishmael up by a solve. Tommy Cherry on his second solve. He's going to get things started with a 7.43. Now remember, Ishmael got swept when he last went up against Tommy Cherry, so he's looking for some redemption here. 743, definitely going to be tough for him to respond to, but he's going to do it with a 722. So now Ishmael up 2-0, just needs one more solve to win. Now remember, he's fighting an uphill battle here. Tommy Cherry's got about a half-second edge on his average. Ishmael's going to start off solve number 3 with an 841. So going to give Tommy something difficult to work with. But Tommy, just a fantastic solve going into that U permit. It's going to be a 649, so he's going to push this set into solve number 4. Now Tommy starting his second solve, his fourth solve, as you can see, just a little bit slower. Some lockups on PLL, not a great solve. You can see he's not happy with that. It's going to be an 801. So again, not easy for Ishmael to respond to, but definitely something within his average. You can see he's starting to feel the nerves here. Just one more solve and he takes the set. He gets his redemption. Going in on orange cross for Ishmael here. Really, really great solve. Going into Olo around 5 seconds, and he's trying to find the ZB, but he can't quite get it right away, and he's going to fumble with a 9-4. So Tommy's going to tie this set up 2-2 going into the final solve. Now Ishmael looking for some redemption here. He got swept the first time he went up against Tommy Cherry. He's going to get things started off on the final solve of this set. Really, really good F2L going into PLL with a 674. You see 6-7, that can only mean good things for him, of course. The whole Alabama team gathered around the computer to see what happens. Tommy Cherry, given his last solve, he's trying to beat a 674. Really, really quick solve. And he's going to do it with a 644 and take that solve by just 0.3 of a second from Alabama. So Ishmael not able to get his redemption, but still able to put up quite the fight. Now moving into the next matchup of week number 2. On the 22nd, we have this Group G matchup between the University of Texas at Dallas and Georgia Tech. Getting things started off is June. And this first solve of set number 1, he's going to get 1068. Following is going to be Matthew for the University of Texas at Dallas. Now these competitors are super, super close, and their incoming averages, June with a 10.06 and Matthew with a 9.97. And Matthew is going to just edge out June on this first solve with a 10.01. Now later down in the set, Matthew up by 2, June with 1 point on the board. Matthew looking to make a statement here and take this first set. He's going to get a 924 on solve number 4, so quite good. Going to be difficult for June to respond to here. Now June looking to come back from some early lapses. A ruse solver here, and he's going to do it with an 8.4. He's going to tie things up 2-2. Now Matthew looking for the win in set number 1 to get things started off on the right foot for UT Dallas. And in this final solve, he's going to DNF, stopping the timer much too early, and that's going to leave an open door for June, and he's going to take that first set for Georgia Tech. Now moving on, Shahir on his first solve of set number 2 for Georgia Tech, he's going to get a 799, but Dev for UT Dallas is going to be able to come back with that. In solve number 2 of set number 2, Dev is going to get things started off quite quickly here with a 727 after the timer begins to start working, and Dev is going to be able to handle this set quite well for UT Dallas. So UT Dallas, Georgia Tech all tied up going into set number 3. Jimmy getting things started really well with a 6.7. Now he's going to take the first 2 solves of set number 3. Justin looking to do anything at all, putting some points up on the board. It's going to get an 8.54. So something that Jimmy will have to take seriously, but overall Jimmy is a little bit faster than Justin with a 7.59. Jimmy going to be cutting things close on this final solve of set number 3 with an 8.39. So just barely beating out Justin to sweep set number 3 for UT Dallas. So now going back to Matthew in June. Final solve of set number 4. It's a little bit of back and forth, but it's all going to come down to this. UT Dallas looking to get some points, secure some points for them to win 3 sets. Matthew's going to get things started with an 8.49. Going to be difficult for June to respond to. He's got some hesitations here in the middle of the solve, and he's not going to be able to do it. He's going to put up a 10.68, so still respectable numbers, but not able to take that set for Georgia Tech. So UT Dallas going to win 3 sets here in set number 4 guarantee they're going to get at least 1 point. Now they're looking for the win. Now moving on into set number 5. Shahir on the very first solve of set number 5 going to get things started very quickly with a PLL skip and a 6.4, his best solve of the match. You can see he's quite happy with that. That's going to get him up on the board, but Dev going to be able to come back, grab a couple solves for UT Dallas. Now in the fourth solve of set number 5, going to fumble a little bit, get a 9 flat. So something Shahir definitely can respond to and tie things up and try to get some more points for Georgia Tech, try to secure a tie and get some points for them as well. But just a longer solve and a +2, an 8.35 would do it to get some points for Georgia Tech, but he's going to +2 that for a 10.35, and Dev is going to be able to take that set. So UT Dallas with 4 sets up on the board, Georgia Tech with 1. Justin going to get things started off very quickly here with a 5.95. Jimmy looking to respond to a 5.95. It's going to be really difficult, but he does have a little bit of an edge here, and he's not going to be able to do it with a 6.83. Now going into solve number 3, it's all tied up. Jimmy with 1 solve, Justin with 1 solve. Jimmy going to get things started here, looking to make a statement, looking to secure a dub, and he's going to DNF here, just not able to fully complete that PLL, and that would have been a really great solve, probably clinch solve number 3, but going to leave the door wide open for Justin to sweep in and take another solve. Now Justin just needs 1 more solve to take the set, and he's going to get a 7.79, so not quite good enough to clinch the set for Georgia Tech. Now remember, he's looking for redemption too, got swept by Jimmy earlier in the matchup. Now Jimmy going to come back, lockups galore in PLL, and he's not going to be able to secure the dub for UT Dallas. You're getting an 8.68, and Justin is going to be able to get his redemption here and get another set for Georgia Tech. He's quite happy here, and that's going to matter later on when we decide who goes to the playoffs. We'll take into account the number of sets won. Now moving into our third matchup on the 23rd, a Group C matchup between University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill versus North Carolina State. So an in-state rivalry here. Bhuvanesh going to get things started off with an 8.87. Now he did take the very first solve. Bhuvanesh going up against Abdel. Very close in averages. Bhuvanesh with a 9.93. Abdel with a 10.48. Bhuvanesh taking that first solve. Then Abdel going to take the second solve by just 0.8 seconds. Now they're going to take things to solve number 5 in set number 1. Abdel going to get things started here. A little bit of a longer solve, some lockups and PLL and throughout. Going to get a 13.25, leaving the door wide open for Bhuvanesh. But Bhuvanesh is also going to struggle a little bit here, having a hard time here in the last steps of F2L. Difficulty recognizing that PLL, but he's going to be able to do it just barely. 12.22, so not a great solve, but enough to get the job done. UNC Chapel Hill going to come out on top in that first set. Now moving into set number 2, Zachary for UNC Chapel Hill going to get things started off. Very first solve of this set with a 7.33. Now Matthew for NC State going to be fighting a huge uphill battle here. Zachary averaging around 8 seconds, Matthew around 10. He's going to be looking to keep things competitive, and he is going to keep things competitive with this first solve here, 8.67, but not enough to take that solve. So moving on, still the same set despite the camera change. Matthew going in on solve number 3. Looking to do anything at all, but he's going to DNF, didn't finish that PLL cleanly, and Zachary is going to sweep Matthew in that set and take 2 sets for UNC Chapel Hill. Moving into set number 3, Raghav getting things started off for NC State, going up against Kerry Creech. Still kind of a lopsided matchup for UNC Chapel Hill here. Raghav averaging around 9.32 seconds, Kerry around 7.48, and Kerry is going to take that first solve, 8.18. Maybe a little bit closer than he would have liked, but enough to get the job done. So now moving into set number 4, again, Bhuvanesh and Abdel taking it to 5 solves. North Carolina already done enough to get some points up on the board. Final solve of set number 4, Bhuvanesh getting an 8.09. Quite a good solve for him. Abdel looking to respond to this, try to keep NC State competitive here. Maybe take some points at the end of the day, but not going to be able to do it as the timer ticks past 8 seconds. Going to finish with a 10.02. So Bhuvanesh taking set number 4. And now in set number 5, Zachary just going to be showing off a little bit here. Solve number 2. He's going to get a 6.3, and that's going to be enough to put him in the top 10 individually ranked cubers of the CCC. So UNC Chapel Hill coming out on top of that in-state rivalry matchup, sweeping North Carolina State 6-0. Moving into our fourth and final match, a Group B matchup between Ohio State and Auburn. Again, a kind of a lopsided matchup with the behemoth Ohio State, ranked number 2 overall here in solve number 3 of set number 1. Nate going to get things started with a 10.76. Evan going to fumble a little bit, get a 9.55, probably a little bit closer than he would have liked, but he's going to take that first set for Ohio State. Now moving into set number 2. Auburn's main goal is to try to keep things competitive. Jack is able to go up 2-0 on Kevin. He's going to get a 7.11. Kevin looking to keep things competitive, just keep Auburn in this matchup against the number 2 overall Ohio State. 7.11 going to be within Kevin's range, his upper range, but he's going to get a 6.92 on a PLL skip, and he's going to take that solve from Jack, so keeping Auburn competitive here. But at the end of the day, Jack is going to be able to take set number 2 for Ohio State. So moving into set number 3, we have our closest matchup between Micah for Auburn and Philip for Ohio State. Philip going to be able to handle Micah here for the first 2 solves. Micah going down 2-0. He gets a 7.96. Going to put a little bit of pressure on Philip, but Philip is going to be able to handle it well and just finish off with a 7.48. So in the first 3 sets, Ohio State winning every solve except for one. They're going to be able to guarantee that they're going to get some points from this matchup. Moving into set number 4, solve number 2. Nate getting things started with a 9.82, going to be one of his best solves of this matchup. Evan looking to respond to that 9.82. Shouldn't be too bad for him, but he has some pauses in OLL, difficulties getting into PLL, and lockups at the end of PLL. Just a bad solve, going to 10.63. So Nate going to be able to put a solve up on the board. Now moving into solve number 4 of set number 4. Evan looking around things off. He's going to get a PLL skip and a great solve of a 7.26, and he's going to be able to take set number 4 with that solve. Now Jack was able to take set number 5 rather easily. So moving into set number 6, on the first solve, Philip going to get things started with a 7.36. Micah looking for some redemption. He got swept, trying to keep Auburn in this matchup, get anything that's good for them. Micah going to get a 6.47, making a statement right off the bat. He's going to take some points for Auburn. Now moving into solve number 3 of set number 6, Philip looking to try to guarantee another set for Ohio State. He's going to mess up this PLO, just a lot of lockups. Really lucky, going to get a 9.67, leaving the door wide open for Micah. Micah going in with his third solve of set number 6. He's going to do it with a 7.2. Going to go up on Philip 2-1. So now, fourth solve of the final set. Again, Micah looking for some redemption, got swept by Philip earlier this matchup. Going to solve number 4. Not the best solve for Micah, 9.04. So leaving a lot of breathing room for Philip, who's a low 7 solver. It shouldn't be too difficult for Philip going into OLL around 8 seconds, but he messes up that ZB. Not able to fix it, and the timer is going to tick to 13.49. So in an unlikely turn of events, Micah's going to be able to take that final set for Auburn and get a set up on the board. But that's going to do it for week 2 of the CCC. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.